Hello there folks, welcome back. My name is Ash and this is the Chap Reviews channel in which I, a middle-aged British guy, will give you my take on movies both modern and classic. Now yesterday afternoon I went to the cinema to see Rental Family. I knew nothing about this movie, it just happened to be on. In the UK it had been released just a few days previously, but it was a wet Sunday afternoon. I needed entertainment and this was something which was suitable for the time frame that I was looking to be entertained. And boy, am I so glad that I went to see this movie. This somewhat unusual movie featuring Brendan Fraser. Now, just to give you a kind of overview of this story, I will say up front is a sort of comedic, charming, heartwarming drama movie. And it took me somewhat by surprise because it brought to the forefront some emotions. It was quite a movie which drew me in and took me along with it. But it's quite a simple movie and it's unusual in so much as it is based in Japan. So our main protagonist, Brendan Fraser, plays a character called Philip. Now Philip is an American actor who's somewhat down on his luck. He finds himself in Japan seeking any job that he can get as an actor. He'd gone there 7 years previously to star in a toothpaste advert and never gone. And he kind of assimilated into Japanese lifestyle. He speaks Japanese, but he lives in a small, dingy apartment and he is making his way through life on the most crappy little small parts, dressed as a tree in one case. He gets an unusual phone call from his agent who says, "Got a job for you, turn up at a venue, wear a black suit." He goes along thinking he's got some sort of bit part in a movie or a TV series, and he finds himself acting out some sort of bizarre funeral situation as a member of the congregation. He sits through it wondering, I imagine, what the hell's going on. And as the whole group is drifting away after the funeral, which has some interesting turns of events in it, namely that the decedent of the funeral is actually still alive. As he's drifting away, a chap approaches him and makes it obvious that he is the person who had hired him and that this fellow runs an agency which rents people, family members, to individuals as they require it. Now, I guess you've got to have some understanding of Japanese culture to get why this is necessary in Japan, and such things don't really exist anywhere else in the world. Because Japan has this very sort of hierarchical, very strict social hierarchy, and people have to act in a certain way, certain things are frowned upon. And in order for people to save face in public life or to make other people happy, they hire family members or other people to act in their lives for them, to make themselves look better or feel better. And this is kind of what this family rental agency is all about. So the owner of the agency offers Brendan Fraser a job, basically. And he actually says, we need a token white guy on the books. He's a little bit reluctant, but he needs the money, needs the job. His life is a bit crap, very depressive. So he says, yeah, go on then, why not? And he ends up, and the story as the movie unfolds is basically us going with him on some of his sort of missions. In the early stages, he portrays the husband, the groom in a wedding to a woman. And this woman is in fact in a same-sex relationship with another woman, but in order to keep her family happy, she stages this pretense of a marriage and then elopes to Canada with her wife. But for all her family's intents and purposes, she's married a man, and it's all a very traditional above-board wedding. That's kind of the sort of thing he does. He also, the two big ones which we follow him on, is basically a little girl, a girl who needs to have, who's trying, her mother's trying to get her into an elite private school, but in order to do so, she needs to present this rather traditional front to the school entry board, and she needs a husband, and her child obviously has a white American father, so she needs a white American style person, and Philip, our protagonist, fulfills that role. we also see him befriending an aging Japanese movie star who is slipping into dementia, and his daughter pays for this sort of renter family member. In this case, he's rented to pretend to be a journalist who comes along and interviews this failing movie star and makes him feel good about his life one last time. So that's basically what the movie's all about. But he builds relationships. He has a softness to him. He has a soft heart, and he becomes more involved than his job requires. Particularly in the case of the aging movie star, he takes him on a road trip, which goes a little bit wrong, but ends up being, just the right thing necessary to settle the account and make things really positive for all concerned. I've simplified it there, obviously, but I found this movie to be rather charming. It's simplistic, and it asks you to put away your own thoughts of ethics. I mean, pretending to be the father of a little girl and hoodwinking her into believing that you're her father so that she can get into a better school, it's somewhat questionable at best. Hello, Lily. And obviously this all comes to a head, and the morals and the ethics of it are explored as the story is untold. But I really loved it. I mean, I have to admit, there were some very touching parts where he exposes the softness of his heart, and he sort of does things for the folks which is way above and beyond what his job requires. There were occasions where, had I not been in a public place, I might have had something in my eye. But I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give this one 4 bowler hats out of 5. Right? That's a high score for me, a really high score, and it is utterly merited. I mean, Brendan Fraser, he's been on a journey. Yes, he's won his Oscar for The Whale a few years ago, and obviously he had his halcyon days where he starred in the much bigger productions like The Mummy and all those, George of the Jungle in his zenith. Now I think he's really coming into his own as this big lug of a man, but with a very soft heart. And I personally think that his performance in Rental Family was superior to his performance in The Whale, for which he won his Academy Award. I dare say this isn't going to win any prizes because it just isn't fancy enough. It's just charming, heartwarming, makes you question what is right and wrong, yet ultimately a very enjoyable movie. And I walked out of it feeling somewhat, totally uplifted by the experience. And what more can you ask of a movie than it changes your mood and makes you see the world through different eyes? And this really did that. So well done to Brendan Fraser. Still springing surprises on us, even in his latter career. I hope you've enjoyed this review today. If you have, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next one.